Good morning. Good
Hold
morning.
on.
Good morning.
How you doing today?
Yes, very good.
Woo, look at that background. I thought I was in Italy or something.
Yes. It's for. I used it. I believe I used it in book 3 of the Biella series, the virtual
Beautiful.
Biella's Tour of
Beautiful.
Possibilities. Yeah, because they go into a virtual reality program, and it's kind of medieval type Renaissance. So it's all
Wow.
adventure. All adventure. Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, Beena?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
We're just talking about you. Okay, not like only just talking about you. We were continuously talking about
We're talking about everybody. So yes, but specifically about Sue. Sue, if Sherry comes, again, I don't know if she will necessarily come, but doesn't matter. With anybody, whoever comes on, next interactions with a capital H hearing, I'm keen for you to actually, yes, practice capital H hearing, but the objective and to take notes, not of what you hear about them, no, about yourself.
Okay.
Notes are to observe the process within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. What's going on in you? What are you feeling? What are your motivations? What are your agendas? What are your habits? What are your distractions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All of that to really, really observe yourself. So you're going to actually be practicing capital H hearing of another. At the same time, you're going to be hearing yourself.
Self-observation.
Yeah. But your notes are about yourself. We don't care
Right.
what your perceptions of the other are.
Okay.
I mean, we do, but I don't mean to say it in that way. But
we don't really
yeah.
care what yeah.
We do, but it's for another time. It's not the focus of it.
Yeah. So this time you want me to do that. Yeah. So
absolutely.
What happens when she says, "Oh, Sue, what do you think?"
Then share what you think. That's fine. Then share what comes up. Yeah.
About me or about her?
Either way, just then step back and say, just let whatever bubble to the surface, and say, if you got nothing, say, I got nothing right now, and then just defer it, right?
Okay.
But that's it. Just make space for something to bubble up. In other words, make space for the question to pull it from you.
Okay.
And trust that it will.
Okay.
This is a major part of capital H hearing. So the exercise today is preparation for doing the course.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll already have the exercise. A lot of these exercises are doing exactly this. You'll have a bit of it in advance without even having that. So it'll be kind of a little bonus for you to have this ahead of time.
Yeah.
So you're gonna come back to it later. Yeah, it'd be good. And also as you go through the content, it's going to kind of click and put together. It's like, cool, okay. So it's very exciting. Very, very cool. Very cool. This program, by the way, the one about helping others, it is more than its stated purpose. A lot more. Okay. It is very much Moreness. It is absolutely integral to Moreness. The fact that it is focused on helping others in a client setting. It's a sophisticated, nuanced application that's necessary for a whole bunch of reasons, which we'll explain as we go into it. So I'm just saying it is really and truly a deep part of the Moreness project, particularly an application of the new nobility, philosophy, and sophistication.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on here, and it's a very, very amazing thing. So yeah, it's very cool. So in other words, what I'm saying is, if somebody was doing the Moreness project, whether or not they had any interest in dealing with clients or not, or coaching or therapy, counseling, whatever, this is absolutely essential for them to do. Absolutely essential and critical. So, whether they do that or not, it's merely a mechanism to leverage our understanding and awareness. Yeah. But there's a very nuanced layeredness that will come in, as you'll see later on, from a self-leveraging point of view, why it is actually necessary to do it in this format. So, it just layers and layers are coming. I love it, and so
fabulous.
It's very fabulous. Yes.
Alignment. Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. I have one more. I'm finishing up that last 8 I mean, last 7, so today I'll finish the.
Right. I figured. So we have the weekend, basically, Beena. We get a weekend free, so we'll get
Free in what way? No.
exactly. No, I mean a weekend to work on things a little bit. So no, it's fine. I have the session 1, which is just the intro session. I can put that up for you in the meantime. I was kind of keen actually to I was hoping that Erica and Sher would finish Wave Impeccability, and that all 3 of you could start it at the same time. Now, yes, I know there won't be a continuation at the same time of actually doing it, but the Zoom sessions will be more or less concurrent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking to have some to readjust our schedules a bit so that we can have some overlap at least on one day, where we can do like together on this,
They have not, none of them have committed. I mean, they're really at the end there, but I mean, Erica Jane has to finish up a lot.
Correct. Oh, she has a lot to do
over.
still, and Sher also. So it'll be a long wait. So I was hoping that, but it's not going to be realistic. But by the time we finish our Zoom sessions on PSP, that likely is going to coincide. So it may still happen, even though you're going to do it ahead of time. We can still do the Zoom sessions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yeah,
so that would be pretty cool because yeah.
Okay.
We still do our individual stuff, but like on Fridays, we focus on overlap Zoom sessions, and then that would be very cool,
Yeah, I think that's a good use of that Friday time too. I mean, it's great that it's kind of completely open, but maybe if you structured even a few hours in there that are complete
I mean, we can
content.
just shift the openness. We can say like, okay, 8 to 10. We're going to do this because nobody comes earlier, and so okay, if you want to come for the open session, it's from 10 onward, but from 8 to 10, this is the those doing the helping course. So that'd be very powerful to see how we connect into it, because there's a lot in this. So they may be doing other stuff as well, but I'm keen for them to start on this. Eric is going to be doing the Moreness thing.
Oh, she committed for sure.
She hasn't said yet, but she's implied. Because somebody said about it. She said for sure. So it's definitely a given for her. But again, technicalities and finance stuff like that. I don't know. We haven't spoken about that, so it will come. So, but she definitely is absolutely committed to doing it. Yeah.
Good.
So with Sher, I don't know. I just want Sher to do this. She doesn't have to do the Moreness project. I know she can't afford it anyway, but to me, it's not critical that she does it. So, but if she's focused on this, and she also is keen to get her coaching business going, so then she can just do this and focus on that, and that's enough. It's fine. I don't have a worry with that. With Sher, but so this will be cool, and it gives her the actual practical application, which for all of us then is also useful to see how that comes in. Now you're also going to be doing it because you I feel are also keen to get your coaching back on, your therapy back on, right? In a format that it now incorporates the fullness of you. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Part of me doesn't want to go back.
Right. Well, then put it on.
Just
delay
because
it as long as possible.
I'm not done with this. I feel like I want more info. But
and that's good.
It is. But I also have seen in the clients that I have spoken to, my vocabulary is this program.
Correct.
So I know I can speak it, and even with Tim, the acupuncturist, I mean, we talked for an hour plus, and it was all he didn't know it, but it was all underlined was way of impeccability.
Yes, and that's sorry, go ahead. And you said sorry.
Yeah, and it was PSP. I wondered if I would be able to make that transition with the vocabulary, and it was nothing. It was absolutely
it's
nothing.
so you by this point, it's just innate and automatic. Yeah. Now, the helping course, this is the hearing course. Let's rather call it that, actually, right, Beena? It's more of a hearing course than a helping course, right?
Yes.
Switch our own terminology. Let's call it the hearing course, because it's really about the hearing. So the hearing course Yes, because again, it doesn't matter if you're going to use it for helping or coaching or whatever, therapy. No, it doesn't matter. Count doesn't matter. So it's about hearing, absolutely, and all of other stuff that goes with hearing, making space and appreciation, all of this other stuff. So the hearing course is going to give you the actual practical application techniques to implement and apply the fullness of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is whether you're doing it for therapy clients or not, makes no difference. It is this actual application, and it's also a gateway into the application of the new nobility.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this
I'm
would
really
be,
keen. I'm really keen on the hearing helping one. Very, very.
it is huge, and the more I do it, the more comes, and
Yeah.
it's very much, so it's really laying the foundation. It's like, this is absolutely what an aspirant needs to know. I mean, an aspirant for the new nobility has to know also the PSP. It's very critical. Now, when we get to the Moreness, we are going to use the new nobility. We are not looking to say, okay, you got to become a new noble. It's as a extended metaphor. It's a paradigm. It's an idea. It's not like, okay, this is what the goal is. Just to make that clear. But still, it is a conceptuality, of nobility. You don't have to be a member of the new nobility to exercise and use nobility, obviously. But this concept of nobility and a moreness of interactivity, which takes into account every little iota of ethics and subtlety and all of this. It's a huge deal, because once you become aware of it, you can't really go back. So already now you see in your own awareness, it brings up these kind of and it's a little tweaking thing that sits there and it's unanswered. We're going to answer all of this.
Nice.
It's a massively exciting thing. It's very exciting. Yes, Beena?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Okay.
Beena, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, just keen to hear if you have anything on it. Yeah. Very exciting, right, Beena?
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Very
Well,
exciting.
we're actually on module 14, session 3. So we're a little further.
I'm gonna have to go and review the tapes, Beena. I think we're skipping over here somehow. Suspicious. Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. We go as we go. We go as we go. It's all good.
So this one is deliberate motives.
Mm.
BS is more than exaggeration. It's deeper, deliberate, deceitful, and ugly lying because the intent is to deceive. The quote. BS is everywhere, every day, and we just say it's just nonsense, but the truth is it comes from somewhere. There has to be some backing to this falseness of intent or agenda. When we start questioning why they are lying or what is really behind all this, we see it's not just happenstance, but instead manipulation and coercion. Their agenda is to present something that does not exist in themselves or a situation, any level or type of deception is still used to lie and manipulate. The worst of all, it's abuse.
Yes.
If you question why you would bullshit and what is the purpose, you are more you're more able to see what's all involved because you know your intent. You can't promote falseness for no reason, and the reasons behind it really is not nice. Stripping away the deception of wanting to deal with deceit so you can see it for what it is, we can only find bad motives and intents behind the facade. It is not kind or nice to purposely deceive others. There is no convincing us otherwise. Some of the worst bullies hide behind a facade of timidity. A timid bully is still a bully, merely a disguised bully. When we look at the unpleasant truths under the BS, we can then gain the awareness and be discerning so that we are not manipulated. The implications show up when we understand the deceptions and manipulations. The implications from what the BSers do to deliberately abuse and deceive us are never nice. Those who do this delivery are just plain old rotten human beings. They know they are not good people, which is what feeds their distortion. So they cover and hide this awful truth. From being friendly to timid and shy, is a good way for them to cover this up. Discernment lets us look past the surface, past what's presented, what's behind it all, and what's really going on.
What's really going on. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the task is, how can a timid bully exist? Explain how this works and give some examples, if possible, from your experience, even if from TV, movies, or books.
It's funny when you were saying timid bully, it came up in my mind. Hey, wait, I want to talk about a timid bully. I forgot to ask that question. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. For me, the timid bully is just a disguise. They are still bullying. Here's a scenario for a timid bullying parent. So I made a story up, I guess. Here's a scenario for a timid bullying parent to unconsciously groom their child to be a bully as well. The parent on the outside appears non-threatening and just overly protective of their child. Most people don't argue with that initially. These type of parents are called lawnmower parents, as they constantly are paving the way for their child, always being one step ahead of them so they can protect them from anything bad that happens to them. And you can picture that. You can picture the lawnmower.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. It's a great, I never heard that before.
It's a real term that they're using.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, it's like, it triggers there.
Instead of the helicopter, which was,
it's a hovering parent.
Now it's the lawnmower paving the way for them,
Nice.
So for some reason that really stuck in my mind that day. The parents are literally in control of everything possible in their child's life. The parents seem kind and loving and timid, and they even control their child to be seen just like that as well. But the child eventually ends up resenting the parent because he will actually eventually realize that awful truth that he was manipulated and he lacked the ability and the choice to be independent while just trying to grow up and learn. This will surely cause a false sense of self-confidence, honesty, value, and integrity because they have never done anything for or by themselves. When this reality hits, they may choose to continue to cover up everything instead of facing their awful truths. The truths like they never got to learn to feel discomfort or maybe even make a mistake in life. So when they do, they are very uncomfortable.
Devastated.
Yeah. The child also never learns to problem solve or have self-confidence. They do not learn how to feel. They do not learn self-control and self-discipline. Now these kids are out there in the world, and if they don't just face the awful truths about themselves and their parents, they will just be primed and ready to be a bully themselves.
Yes, they'll be hollow. And here we look at what we are doing as Moreness and why PSP is a part of Moreness. Because we take this perception that you just delineated and we say, look at what I get out of this. I realize I need to learn by myself. I realize whoever I interact with has to learn by themselves. Otherwise, they end up in this hollowness. So we keep looking at things from this reverse opposite, sort of more or less opposite, right? We infer the positive constantly. Mm-hmm. We don't just see the negative of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly enough, I have always done that.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
Because Bill would say something about a driver, who was doing something stupid or whatever. And I'd always come up with the reasons why he possibly
the justifications for it.
And, he's like, can I never have an opinion or, do you always and then it kind of shut me down for a while. But now I kind of really see that really was me seeing the Moreness in somebody, not jumping on Bill's bandwagon and said, yeah, what an a-hole, they're driving like an idiot. They're going to kill somebody. Yeah, they may, but maybe they're on the way to the hospital because somebody, their family member was just taken. No, could they be driving like that? But sometimes there's always. So I kind of got to bring that back in and a little stronger.
Yes, for two reasons, or there's a bunch of reasons for doing that. One, we don't want to just assume. And
Correct.
why assume an assumption that is negative? We don't know.
Oh,
There's
exactly.
as much chance as it being a positive reason,
Sure.
right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Furthermore, when you're the one who's driving like a maniac because you're looking to get to the hospital, or there's a bee in your car, and it's like, what the hell, whatever. You've been stung by the bee, and you got allergy, whatever. If it's you, then you want that same courtesy. But also,
Correct.
it is an exemplification of unrelenting positivity. Why put the negative out there? I don't have to believe it's negative, even if it is. So this is our sophistication, the Moreness sophistication. We say, yes, likely he's a jackass, in all probability. However, I can't be sure. I'm going to choose deliberately to assume that every single time he's not a jackass, even though likelihood that's not true, because it benefits me. I'm adding positivity to the world. I'm adding goodness to the world. And I'm not letting my day be upset by a jackass. I refuse. I don't know for a fact that he is a jackass. I choose to believe. That choosing to believe, massive power. Massive. Put it in your dictionary of power, actually, by the way. I don't think it's they say we've actually used it so specifically before. Choosing to believe, as a compound term with the hyphens. Choosing to believe. Yeah. We know it's not necessarily true, but we choose to believe because it helps us, gets us value. And we're not being ignorant, unsophisticated, naive. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We are being very, very, very sophisticated in this.
Yeah. And it's funny. So instead of me constantly sticking up for what I thought was kind of sticking up for the underdog, I just kind of was quiet and I just didn't say anything. But it's funny now, if I would say something negative, Bill goes, well, what about such and such? I'm like, who is this man?
Power, the contagious power of awareness.
And it took me stopping, because I would say, geez, Bill, there's got to be something positive. And then I just quieted down for months. But I'll be picking that puppy back up again. Yeah.
But look at what happened when you quieted.
Yeah.
Look at now, if you look back at your communications, and were you sharing a perspective or were you actually telling Bill something?
Telling him. Oh, exactly. I was telling him.
Exactly. So it wasn't what you were saying that was problematic. It was how you were saying it that was problematic, right?
Yeah.
He heard the content.
Yeah, it was irritating to me, so I just spewed out and told. I didn't.
Exactly. So there was no spacing, there was no timing, there was no patience, there was no appropriateness. There was a whole bunch of stuff missing in the communication. And this Moreness, the hearing course, it is actually about communication.
Yeah.
But it is about this underlying reverse communication that isn't communication.
Yep.
It's a really, really magical thing that we are going to do. We are truly going to communicate. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
We're going to communicate much without actually using words even.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you were communicating when you were silent.
Absolutely.
That force of your awareness. You have a powerful force of awareness. By the way, I would imagine that when it comes to poker or lying, you're quite horrible at it.
Oh, I can't.
Exactly.
I cannot.
Exactly.
Everybody says don't even let her in the game. I can't.
Yes. All right. So on this point too, it is absolutely, really critically, vitally necessary and imperative to realize and be aware that you, Sue, have no real private thoughts. That's it. You just don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Same for us. So whatever we think, we because we're honest and we open, it just gets out there. So okay, sometimes I think things that aren't nice about people, but I'm happy to tell it to you if you're really willing to hear. I'm not being nasty or negative. It's just an observation of reality. I'm sorry. So this is important too, and this is why that inner impeccability is so critical. Furthermore, we are going to take this same perspective we said of giving the benefit of the doubt, choosing to believe without compromising ourselves. Giving the benefit of the doubt can be hugely compromising, but we're going to do so without naivety, with sophistication, with deliberation. We're not going to open ourselves to vulnerability where, oh, they're just believing I'm a good guy and I can naive them. I mean, their naivety, I can manipulate it. No. We are doing this with sophistication, and we have that awareness of the possibilities, and we communicate. I see you could be a shit, but I'm going to choose that you're not. Choose to believe that you're not. They see it if they are. You see, look with William. You saw him fully, and yet you still had that positivity despite knowing who exactly you are in your past. I'm going to relate to you in a different way.
Yeah.
Very, very,
very powerful.
very powerful.
Very powerful. Yeah.
And it's something that automatically leverages respect. Not that we are looking to deliberately get respect, but knowing this, our sophistication says it's going to happen, because that psychology says, well, this is somebody, they really being more. You know, your interaction with William, your setting of yourself and your relating to him was the way you did that. The entire intent behind that was an act of nobility, was it not?
I guess, yeah. From what you say, yeah. I mean, I didn't realize it, but that is how it unfolded.
Precisely, Beena. You see what I'm saying here in terms of the intent behind it? You were employing and implementing bonus goodness when it came to William. Bonus goodness. You didn't need to. You didn't have to. It's complete bonus above and beyond goodness, right?
Yes.
That's nobility right there by definition. Yeah. My friend Mark the philosopher, he doesn't think nobleness is something that you can have and acquire and be consciously and deliberately. He thinks it's oxymoronic.
Really? Yeah. Huh.
Well, I had the debate with him. He might not think so anymore now, but you know, yeah. So at the time, it was a long time ago. So yeah, but there are people who feel that the same way they feel like you can't be deliberately innocent. Nonsense. Of course you can. So same thing with nobility. Of course you can. Yeah.
So in that last thing that I wrote, it's unlearning being controlled and manipulated, not being or thinking for yourself, fear, complacency, overprotectiveness, and timidity. So you can invite in awareness, understanding, discernment, self-honesty, self-truth and value and integrity, independence of being and thinking, knowledge, awareness, and appropriateness.
Fantastic. I'll go back to the unlearning. He said overprotectiveness, yes? Very interesting. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Very powerful unlearning, particularly in the context of clients. We have to really be careful to not be overprotective of our clients. You know, that same mindset, you know.
Yeah, they got, you know, there's a big piece of it that they have to figure out themselves. I always tell them, I'm not a fixer. Don't come here to be fixed. I'll give you the tools. I'll talk to you about, but you have to ultimately do your work yourself. Otherwise, I take on the burden. It's not for me to do. I'm a facilitator. I tell them all the time, I am a facilitator, and that's it.
Right. Yes.
You need to do your work.
Yes. Love that. But you know, it's like with the interaction with Bill. It is the inadvertency of non-awareness that we have to now look specifically to say, oh my goodness, you know, I was doing stuff inadvertently simply through non-awareness, right? So we have to be very cautious with that and say, oh, now that I am aware, you know, like in the car with Bill, now that I am aware, what am I going to replace it with? It's not enough to just simply say, I'm going to not do that, because that gets you to silence, which wasn't appropriate either. So we're looking at the replacement. Everything we're about, replacement. I know you're being problematic background.
Yeah.
It's very, the light comes from the side. So if it's not hanging at exactly the right angle, then it doesn't show. So
that's a very cool background. It does. It looks like you're it's in your house.
Yes, very sophisticated. So I don't know what's up with it. So you just have to have a clicker.
Next task is, next time you hear BS from someone you like, not BS, but BS, or at least what you would call BS rather than bullshit, just ask yourself, what is the intent behind what the BS was. More importantly, ask yourself how deliberate the choice was to say what's said to get the intended effect. For me, Tim called me and told me he sent, this was weeks ago, sent Chelsea, his ex-girlfriend, a text that happened to be on her birthday. And that was only about taking a real hard look at herself and facing her own truth. That's the intention he said why he wanted. He claims that his intent was to help her see herself. Her response was only, what? No birthday wishes? To me, his intent was a bit BS. But I believe he did it to either one-up her or see if he can win her in some way by still caring about her when he claims he doesn't want her back ever because of the choices that she has made for herself. So even though he appeared to be playing the card, I could tell by the inflections in his voice and I just wanted to call you and tell you that. So I'm like, really? And I never question people like that, but again, this course is making me think twice. I'm like, oh, was that really their intent? Why should I believe that? When I could hear or feel in him that it was really about, he says he's letting her go, but there's just a string hanging yet, So I've talked to him many times about these contradicting intents. That he has to make sure that his old intents and her old intents are cleared out, or they're going to bring them into their next relationship. So
very interesting. Yeah.
So next question is, what's involved? What did I learn out of that one? Unlearn misintents, being in an immersion bubble, so you can invite in awareness, power pausing, understanding, appropriate deliberateness, hearing, choices, overview, perspective, knowledge, learning, self-respect, love, value, honesty, integrity, and self-acceptance. What's involved in that deliberate choice? For me, his choice was deliberate because his intent to goodness was to help her see herself. But unfortunately, it was still skewed by his conflicting previous intent that he wants to be with her, but doesn't want that now. It's very conflicting. It was at that moment, it became very, very obvious to me. Yeah. So unlearn old intents and habits, keeping them when they are no longer appropriate. Misintents, an appropriate application of goodness, not being able to let things go. Invite in awareness, understanding, discernment, self-love, confidence and respect, integrity, knowledge, learning, self-growth, self-honesty, independence of being, appropriate applications of your goodness and your moreness. Next question. Now make the effort to go beyond the shallow motivation behind the BS and ask yourself, what's the deep root intent looking to be served?
Yes.
For me, Tim's deep root intent that needs to be served is for him to be loved and appreciated exactly for who he is. Not the facade intent to help someone see themselves, but for you to truly explore and honor yourself. So unlearn overlooking the truth and hidden agendas, letdowns and heartaches and disappointment. So you can invite in awareness, understanding, discernment, self-love, honesty, value, respect, integrity, self-appreciation, growth and appreciation, thinking things through to the end, sobriety, we're having self-control and inner freedom. How does good intent come into it? For me, good intent is a real intent, one that has to be discerned and thought through to the end. So unlearn quick or surface intents, pleasing others to look good and reacting. So you can invite in awareness, appropriate intents, power pausing, sobriety, understanding, discernment, self-honesty, value, appreciation, love and integrity, thinking things through to the end, deliberate, appropriate responses, knowledge, learning, and self-growth. Big one, it's not little.
Yeah, but it's important.
Well, I mean, that was a 2-3 minute conversation. Yes. And it is amazing how, and each one of those steps, I was able to pull out what was real. It was very, very cool exercises in these programs.
Yes. Very, very cool. And there's so much more. It's amazing.
And it doesn't matter who you can be talking to, a sibling. There's always some information in it.
Always. There's always more. Always, everything, always more. Yeah. I love it.
So
I love it. It's really gorgeous.
Session 14, Model 14, Session 4, arrogance. Quote is, arrogance is often well disguised, covert, and subtle, yet we intend to believe it only exists in the overt form.
Yeah.
Yesers know that there's nothing, that they are nothing nice, and that they cheat and are wrong. Stealing is getting something from someone in a false manner, and they do this all the time. All this knowing of their wrongdoing creates the massive amounts of confusion and deception that they need to continue to make you believe that it is all true in their eyes, but unjustifiable. Another quote, misperceiving arrogance for confidence and confidence for good intentions has devastating consequences. Yeah. BMNs sell their arrogance as confidence, so it looks like they are doing things for our good intentions and in our best interest. They will never be able to honestly do or help others for the sake of helping others because their psychology won't allow true selflessness. Unfortunately, they have an agenda for themselves to, no matter how much they try to convince you that their agenda is for you. Unfortunately, they always have an agenda for themselves, no matter how much they try to convince you that their agenda is for you. If you end up getting some benefit, the BMN will not like this because, once again, they're not in that top dog position. Be careful when you are starting to get a benefit from a BMN. The task is...
So it's a big alert right there,
yeah. Big. There should be like, neon signs on that.
Right.
Yeah. Provide some examples of covert or hidden arrogance from your personal experiences or observations. For me, it's people who say they are truly and deeply working on themselves, and they pretend to have a lot of self-confidence, but they never really do the work, only enough to make it look good on the surface.
Yeah.
Or if someone... Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It's a great example. I love that.
Or if someone is telling others of how great they are and how skillful they are, but the minute you ask them to do something, they can't. So they do everything to avoid it. Oh, I'm busy that day. Oh, no, I'd love to help you. But So
I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. Unlearn overconfidence, all talk, no action.
Yeah. Self-lies
and deception. Claiming abilities that you're not capable of doing, so you can invite in awareness, understanding, discernment, self-confidence, value and integrity, self-honesty, knowledge, learning, appropriateness, and your own abilities. Yeah, your capabilities. Yeah. True abilities. True abilities. Yeah. Next question is how real. There you go. Real. Yeah. There you go. Real abilities. I'll change that to real. Yeah. How can we distinguish between arrogance and confidence? For me, arrogance lacks confidence because there's no real ownership of the facts or details. Yeah. It's all on the surface. Arrogance is full of BS. Confidence comes from doing the work to learn the knowledge and putting the effort in to actually do it. Confidence has not has no pretending attached to it like arrogance does. Confidence is earned, arrogance is not.
Yes. Yes.
So unlearn facades, being taken advantage of, arrogance, lies, deception, lack of learning and knowledge, surface knowledge, and pretending. So you can invite in awareness, understanding, discernment, knowledge, learning, self-confidence, independence of being and thinking, effort, self-honesty, truth, and integrity. Next one is share how you perceive and uncover motivations. For me, when I want to perceive or uncover someone else's motivation, I must first be aware and have the intent to have capital H hearing and trust that everything that the person is saying makes sense and is valuable and precious to them. Beena. I must
Brilliant.
I must make space for them. This way, I take my personal self out of the judgment or questioning phase. When I allow my soul and body to feel them, I can make sense of it and dissect it all later. This assists you in seeing, feeling, and hearing their motivations. I just did this the other day when I was talking to Tim and Chelsea, that was previously written about. Yeah. So again, a powerful, powerful way, I think, to perceive and uncover that is just listening, just hearing them, So unlearn, talking, questioning, not hearing, judgment, opinions. Invite in awareness, trust, capital H hearing, feelings, self-confidence, understanding, acceptance, appropriateness, and making space for others. How does trust without trusting factor into your perspectives? For me, trust without trusting is critical because I may not be able to connect with that person's situation, but I must trust in knowing that it makes sense to them and has value. So I trust in trusting so I can use my capital H hearing. Makes sense. Misspelling. Unlearn, talking, judgment, overthinking, not listening. Invite in awareness, trust, capital H hearing, feelings, self-confidence, understanding, acceptance, appropriateness, and making space for others. So module 14, session 5, strategic neutrality. BSers don't deserve our friendship or our time. Generosity is valuable, but not if it has been coerced for the benefit of others via manipulation. That's why there is no value to interacting with a BSer. Everything about them is about them, not you. Life is all about being real when it comes to integrity, sincerity, generosity, and genuineness. So phoniness is not allowed.
It's not an option even, really.
Yeah.
Though, not allowed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me put that in. Is not allowed or even an option. Okay. Discernment is top priority when dealing with the BMNs and the BSers. Here is where our kindness, goodness, friendliness, and helpfulness just legitimizes their BS, and we can get taken advantage of or become entangled. Rudeness and unfriendliness may have to take a front seat for us for a change, even though it does not feel right. So staying completely neutral and limiting interactions and respondings to the bare minimum can be very helpful to stay out of harm's way. When the BMN is blatantly negative, then open unfriendliness might be appropriate. They work very hard to keep themselves covered up as they keep things unclear and confusing. If we are discerning and understanding, we can see the truth of them, but that does not mean we can ever outright prove it. So be mindful that our open hostility can cause them to go into their high defense mode. They will even take the liberties to talk negative about us even when we are not present, so they can prove to others that we are at fault and not them.
Yeah.
So the better stance is neutrality when it comes to the BMN and the BSer. so much of their manipulation and distortion is based on implication. So if we don't act friendly to their forced fake friendliness, then to them, it's an indictment of them through implication. We cannot be at fault for any unreasonable or illogical behavior that they may have. So our neutrality is a powerful, non-positive reflection of them, especially when others are around to witness it.
Yeah, yeah. This is a huge point here.
Yeah.
Very subtle one, you know, to realize that neutrality can be a power. We tend to think in this, you know, opposites always.
That it's wimpy, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not. Especially if your neutrality has solidity and independence of being at its core, right? I mean, when it came to William, you were pretty neutral, weren't you?
Yeah.
But it was a power neutrality. You weren't saying one way or the other.
That's and to me, that feels better and more powerful than, you know, having that force to like knock it off.
Absolutely. Oh, it's
feel
exactly
comfortable.
It's way more powerful. You were leveraging implication. You were leveraging the contagion of awareness, the force of awareness. You were doing all sorts of magical things. Don't have to do that other stuff. Much more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were shaping your world, right?
Sure. The others that are paying attention will see it or feel it that something is amiss, and this is the BSer's biggest fear, as their public image is critical to them. If they try to attack this situation, they will look like they have an obvious agenda, and they will look bad. This is how you use your own nonsense to deal with them. Neutrality is a powerful tool against the BMN, and taking a strong stand in it is truly important.
Yeah, use their own nonsense against them, not your own.
Use their own. That's what I said. I must have read it wrong. Use their own nonsense.
Yeah, you read our own. So I'm like, hello.
I have it right.
You're just testing me. See if I'm listening.
Neutrality is a powerful tool against the BMN, and taking a strong stand in it is very important. Because they love when they are emotional, so when we are emotional, so they can push our buttons easily and start the manipulation process. When we use discernment to ourselves, we keep our emotions to ourselves so they can't be exploited by the BMN.
No.
So the task is, would it be appropriate to be less friendly than your usual self with a bullshit or a BMN pushing fake friendliness? For me, absolutely. This is taking a strong stance in neutrality is critical.
Yeah.
You know, unlearn over friendliness in others, inappropriate kindness, generosity, generosity and friendliness of ourselves. Invite in awareness, understanding, independence of being, thinking, neutrality, and self-discernment. Are you able to do this deliberately in full awareness if needed? For me, I trust that through this knowledge and awareness of the BSer, that I will be able to deliberately take a stance of neutrality to stop the BS from continuing.
Yeah.
Unlearn awareness, inappropriate friendliness, complacency, and enabling. Invite in awareness, understanding, self-discernment, neutrality, self-confidence, independence of being and thinking, empowerment, and deliberateness.
Wow. I love that. The deliberateness especially. Sue, in that gathering that William was present at, it was a family gathering in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is this part of the family that is connected in some way to Santa and Barbara?
No.
No. Well, other side of the family.
It's it's my brother's family. You know, his wife, and it's his father-in-law, my brother's father-in-law.
I'm just curious if
they were related. No,
not related, but if you're, you know, if the word will spread to them via that if they connected to the circle, so that if there's any talk and chat about a change in Sue, if it would filter back to Santa and Barbara.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
There's no real communication with any of them that were there to any Santa Barbara row. No, none. They don't keep in contact with them.
I
Yeah.
got you.
How much of your behavior is deliberate, even if positive? For me, I must stay in awareness of what I am doing is deliberate or just a habit. I am getting better at it because I am choosing to pay attention to it. So unlearn awareness and habits, invite in awareness, understanding, deliberateness, appropriateness, self-acceptance, and honesty. Does it matter? If so, why? Yes. For me, it matters a great deal. To be impeccable, I must be deliberate in all my appropriateness. So unlearn unawareness habits, same thing. Invite in awareness, understanding, deliberateness, independence of being and thinking, self-acceptance, honesty, and appropriateness.
So I have a bonus question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I kind of missed some of your list there because I was thinking of this bonus question popping up. If we are aware, really, really aware, is it actually possible to not be deliberate if we're impeccable?
Say that again, please.
If we're aware, really, really aware, is it actually possible to not be deliberate if we are also impeccable?
No, it's automatic.
You have to be deliberate. You have to be, because when you're aware, you see the responsibility that your actions automatically connect to. What you do, regardless of what it is, has a consequence, has an implication. Mm-hmm. So you have to be deliberate. You have no choice, really. Now, the trick is how to be deliberate, right? To be deliberately deliberate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beena?
And also, yeah.
Sorry. Oh, go ahead, Sue. I just want to get.
And also, that whole concept of the importance of how it has to become very innate inside of you, and then it's, just it's automatic.
It has to be, or we'd be overwhelmed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beena, any thoughts on that point?
No, it's all good. I'm just listening.
Mm-hmm. Just like to hear you every now and then, Beena. Right, Sue? We just like to know she's there.
The last question is, provide some examples of how not being neutral is unstrategic and causes problems and provides fuel for distortion. For me, when we don't take the stance of neutrality to shut down the BSer, we just enable the disease of negativity to spread. If we are not neutral and practice self-discernment, then we open up our emotions up to ourselves for being exploited. Hold on. Just take the situation with Barbara, Santa, and Roe. Because I did not take a neutral stance when things felt wrong, my need for approval was inappropriate. Then I absolutely set myself up to be completely manipulated by Barbara and Santa. That led to 7 years of distortion. I take ownership of my inappropriate application of my goodness because I have surely learned some valuable lessons from it. So unlearn, fitting in, fear, being taken advantage of, invite in awareness, understanding, deliberateness, appropriateness, self-acceptance and honesty, independence of being and thinking, self-value, self-respect, integrity, and discernment.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. That integrity.
Yeah.
Big one. It's nice that it crept in here, that well, not crept in, but it's coming into being, because that's the key point of what you were communicating there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, this next one is when one of the tasks is to go into the mind of a BS. Oh my God.
Yes.
So this one is corruption. You can't corrupt your conscience by corrupting the conscience of another.
Right.
BSers have the same logic as a cheater, as they circumvent the truth too. One of the BSers' faves is if someone else is worse than you, then they are okay. How ridiculous. They love this tactic because then they are okay. Hold on. not you are okay, then they are okay. How ridiculous. They love this tactic because it is a convenient way to their deceptive belief in their happiness, value, being real, and competent. They even cheat their own conscience. Yeah. When they corrupt the conscience of another, they appease their own conscience. They will do their best to get you to cheat or lie right on the spot with them, and now you are guilty by association. If you don't object to this when it happens, they will use it as fuel to later point out how you never objected, and now they have something on you. Plus, they are once again superior status.
Yeah.
Measure of degree of comparison of your lie to their mistakes makes no difference whatsoever to them. They will just throw it in your face on how you pretend to be good and nice, but you are just like them, so you are a big old hypocrite. This is why their typical BS, this is just their typical BS. There's no logical expression, just their belief that it is enough to make them feel superior and you inferior. They manifest their beliefs in their demeanor and behavior, as well as communicating their idiotness to others. This is an issue because we have been made guilty by association no matter what, according to the BMN.
Yeah.
Just associating with them, we are condoning their bad behavior and getting entangled in their convoluted lives. So the task was, provide an illustration of BS relative logic from inside their head. In other words, practice thinking them in order to make sure you are fully conversant with the subtleties of their decisions.
Yeah, thinking like them.
Portions of thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
For now, I will be in the mind of the BSer.
Is Hercules okay over there?
Yeah, he's somebody's welcome by.
I heard his sweet grumblings over there. Yeah. It's kind of cute, yeah.
I have grown up thinking that everything I do is just wonderful because my parents made me believe that one day because my parents made me believe that. But one day the awful truth came out, and I was that I was really not all that talented. I was crushed, to say the least. But I still always wanted to believe that I am that talented person because of how that made me feel, being superior over others. I know I clearly have no real credentials or abilities in this regard to back any of this up, but I'm going to do my very best to keep myself believing that I do, no matter what it takes. I cannot fail or be wrong. That will be too devastating for me. The awful truth is something that I don't ever want to face. So my plan is to capture and fool the people that I see that have a crack in their foundation of self-value, honesty, or integrity, or independence of being in thinking. Even the slightest crack will allow me to start my deceptions. This little crack is a giant opening to me because they are not 100% sure of themselves, and I would love to take advantage of them so I can feel better about myself. If I came across a stronger, more together person in a group who is attempting to challenge me, I will first try to get an ally on my side, one of the weaker constitution, and try to get them to do my dirty work for me, because I surely know that I can't stand up to that stronger person. Hercules, let me see.
Yeah.
Can't stand up to that strong. I will do anything in my power to not get caught in my lies of who I really am. I have a huge arsenal of deceptive tactics to use against people to confuse them and get them entangled into my corrupted way of life so I can still look amazing. Now remember, I am so arrogant because I know I lack confidence and abilities, so I have things I can use to camouflage my abilities and that lack of knowledge. All I have to do is take a few details of this little knowledge that I have and keep repeating them over and over. Or I could get into my cool mode and throw a few buzzwords around and I will draw people in. I have so many tricks to use, and I don't even have to be smart. I just need for you to think that I am. Don't forget, I am extremely charming, friendly, and very helpful when I know there is something in it for me. I must always get the benefit because I don't really care about you at all. Only I matter. I need to warn you, though, if you question me on anything, I will surely find a way to tear you down and make you look like an idiot or a hypocrite so I can keep my top dog position. I never want to lose that spot, no matter what. Did I tell you how much I love to be indulgent, and I will push that on you every chance that I can get because I hate appropriateness. Yeah. I have lots of tricks and misbeliefs that are convenient for me to get you into my web of distortion and lies, and you probably won't even know what's happening to you. That's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. You will be an accomplice to my bad behavior, and you will be so confused you won't be able to figure out what's going on. I like it that way because if you think too much, you may figure me out, and I could never allow that. Yeah. I am so very special, so I need to keep going. So I need to gang up on you and one up you or feed you my ego in any way. I will, in any way I can, I will do this just to justify my crappiness. I now own you because if you squirm out, I will just let everybody know in a big way of how much of a hypocrite you are. You never objected to anything I ever said. So who is the better person now? Of course I am. I will always make sure I am better than you. You cannot win. Only I win. I don't ever want to realize all the horrible things that I have done to you in your career, your social status, or your personal life because of how bad the implications are for you just to know me. I only ever get the benefit, not you. If you cross me, be advised that when I feel threatened of you calling me out, I get very paranoid and everything is an open game for me. If you ever find out what I am doing, I will do my best to crush you publicly, personally, with my words and actions. And when and if you leave, I will just find another sucker like you who has not completed the psychology of superiority paradigm program.
Brilliant.
So I can keep spreading my disease of negativity in the world. My only fear is that the PSP program will enlighten so many people about me that I will become extinct. Until the word gets out more, I will continue to spread my subtle as well as my nefarious lies of BS to anyone. So I can stay in my unreal, hollow, crappy life that I have created.
Yes. In the safety of the facade. Yeah, because the awful truth is way too awful, right?
Yeah. So I think I understand the BSer and all that they're up to.
Yeah. It's an interesting exercise to kind of get inside.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
It's very helpful, you know. So.
Yeah.
And also, of course, they don't quite think it that consciously. They more think it, you know. So, you know, it's just that I got to, you know, there's not that much clarity and logic involved. I got to do this, I got to do that. That's kind of all it is based on the beliefs. You know? Yeah. So it's amazing when you apply a bit of awareness, how the whole thing just implodes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just amazing, the power of awareness.
Yeah, really there's two more questions there in this, and then we can finish this module session.
Brilliant. Yes.
What's before Sherry comes on?
Right.
What's Hi Sherry, how are you?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm doing good.
Hello, Sherry. Hello.